All righty. We are officially live here on this Friday morning, October 22nd, and coffee in hand because it is a coffee talk. It's our jam session. And today I'm going to discuss a little something different. Different, but I'm going to talk about two different types of properties. And I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of both of these. And actually, I'm going through building or acquiring and building both of these models. And that is a short-term rental versus a niche property, okay, which is basically web property, digital real estate, as we call it. So I thought it would be fun today on our jam session to kind of go through both of these investment models, and we'll break them down because as I sit here and drink my coffee this morning with you, I'm actually in the process right now of doing some research for potentially buying another Airbnb property or a short-term rental. So I'm going to break that down. All right. Talk about what that looks like and the risks involved and why it's very, very similar to niche properties, but actually a little less risky. It can be. And how these two models are very, very similar, but yet they both have their own risks. They both have their own upside and all of those things. And I thought it was a good time to probably just kind of have you guys sit in on that. And if you have any questions, let me know. And we'll go through that stuff. All right. So let's see here. Yeah, Alejandro, the flannel is out in full gear here. Yeah, we are. We're wearing the flannel. It's a little chilly out there. I got to be honest. In the mornings, about 45 degrees. Then it warms up to about 75, 80 degrees. But yeah, we got the flannel out. Actually, I didn't have it on until about an hour ago, and I then put it on because it was a little chilly. So what's up, Doug? Doug, and I want to give a shout out to Doug Hutchins, who's in our Brand Creators Academy, and he lives in Asheville, North Carolina, which that's where I'm potentially going to be purchasing. And it's not necessarily just Asheville, but it's in that area, looking for a mountain view type cabin. That's what I'm looking for. And Doug's been helping me out with some of those areas. And yeah, I'm exploring probably about 4 different locations there. And I'm doing my due diligence and looking at that. But man, properties are flying off the shelves. By the time one hits, not even an hour or 2 later, it looks like they already got active offers. So it's not easy. And that's what I'm doing. So anyway, so Doug, thank you for all the assistance there so far, going back and forth. And we are making some progress, looking at some different areas, and hopefully we'll be able to invest in a mountain view type cabin. Really, really excited about that. And I've been doing my research, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that here today. So I'll have an open conversation with you guys about what the potential is, what it looks like to invest, how much money out of pocket, and all of that stuff. So that's what we'll be talking about here today. And Doug says, you're going to love it here. Well, that's the idea, right? It's like, I want to be able to invest in a property, but that will allow me to go there and spend time. So for us, we already have a lake house. We want to have something in the mountains. We want something with mountain views. We want something where we can feel like we can get away and just look at the views. And so that's what we're looking to do. So yeah, I'm excited to potentially to go there, and I'm learning more about that area. I'm learning about all of the different surrounding areas, and actually, Doug, I've been talking to someone there about Maggie Valley, and it's sounding like that's a good spot for the old Airbnb and the mountain views. Those houses up there are flying off the shelves. So the town might not be that great, but it's not that far from, I believe, Waynesville, I think it is. Anyway, let's get into this. All right, let's get into this topic here. And guys, if you're just joining me, today is going to be a discussion on short-term rentals versus niche properties why I have both and why I am looking to acquire another short-term rental, but I'm also building niche properties. And right now, currently, there's 6 of them in my portfolio. 3 of them, actually 4 of them, are really actively being published too. The other ones, the other 2 are more or less. We did a little bit of a content blitz. We're going to let them kind of season a little bit and be able to get a little bit of authority. And also just because I want to focus on the 4 and I don't want to focus on 6 of them. But now we're looking at potentially also possibly investing in another short-term rental if the numbers work and if I get what I want, because it's got to be something that's desirable. So I don't know where this is going to go, but we're going to go ahead and dig in. I'm going to go ahead and kick this thing off so we can officially get started here. And if you guys have any questions on any of this stuff, let me know. But this is an open book here for you guys. If you guys have any questions on the short-term rental side of things, I have one of those. It's been amazing. But this new one that I'm considering is a little bit different because I don't have assistance there as much as I do here. So we'll talk about that. All right. So here we go. Let's kick this thing off. It's Friday. All right, guys, welcome back to another Friday jam session. If you guys are listening to this on the podcast, I'm actually doing this live for our coffee talk people, the people over there that what I call our Take Action crew. If you want to be part of that, by the way, you should probably head on over to takeactioncrew.com. Go there, put your name and email address in, and you will be on that list of people that are action takers and part of our morning crew. So today is Friday, or depending on when you're listening to this, but it is a Friday jam session. This is where we come on here, we talk a little bit about a topic or a discussion, and then we do a little Q&A. So I'm going to kick this thing off, though, today with a topic that I know some people have asked, but it's also a question I've asked myself, and it's something that I'm currently doing right now. So I wanted to kind of talk about it while it's fresh. And so what that is what are the pros and cons of a short-term rental, okay, Airbnb, VRBO, any of those, and having a niche property? Like, why don't you just build a whole bunch of niche properties and just call it a day? You could do that, but I like diversification. And I personally like the short-term rental game because if you create a really good experience for someone, and I'll talk about what I'm looking to do, if you create a really good experience for people that they don't get in their everyday life, they'll pay for it. Okay. Now you got to be in the right surroundings, the right settings, and all of that stuff. That's why we have to survey the land as we do with building a niche property. All right. So let me just kind of go through the pros and cons really quickly of what this looks like. So first off, in anything that we do, there's risk. It doesn't matter what we do. There's always going to be risk. Okay. So let's talk about the short-term rental. Okay. So what I love about the short-term rental, like I said, is people are willing to pay if you are different than everyone else. If you're just going to take your house, your ordinary house in your neighborhood, and put it on Airbnb, you'll probably rent it out. You'll probably get some people to come in, but they're not going to pay more than a couple $100 a night, maybe $150 a night, right? And they're doing it just for a place to lay their head. That's all that they're doing. Now, when I was investing in my first short-term rental, which is our lake property, initially, and some of you may know the story, initially I was looking to rent, not even purchase yet, I was looking to rent a lake house here, and this is on Lake Norman in North Carolina. I was looking to rent one, and I started exploring what was available because I was going to do which I did, which was our inner circle at the time, and I was doing these private mastermind sessions where a business would come in or a few businesses would come in. We'd go to the lake house, a couple days, we'd dissect the business, we'd strategize, we would brainstorm, right? And then we would do some implementation. So I was like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and rent out a lake house. Well, to rent out a lake house, it was anywhere from $800 to $1,000 back then per day, per night. So I was like, okay, no problem. I mean, people that are coming in are spending a good amount of money with me. So I'm going to go ahead and splurge and we're going to give them a great experience. And so as I started looking into that, I started thinking, this is a great model. Like, I'm looking at these houses and I could probably, or I would like to invest in one of these. I'd have a place where we could go and spend time as a family and enjoy the lake. And I can use it for business and have a mastermind there. And I can do it as a short-term rental. So it checked all the boxes. I'm like, this thing makes a lot of sense. Long story short is, the guy that I was looking at that property, he had about at that time, I think 6 or 7 properties, and he is very high end. So he took and niched himself down in the short-term rental as high end lake house properties. Okay. It's not your cabins. It's not, your little tiny homes. It's not your RV parks. It's none of that stuff. It's top tier. Right. And the reason why he did that is because he wanted to separate himself. He wanted to separate himself. So he was just premium and he was getting premium clients, and it worked. Right. And it's still working right now. He probably manages over, I believe, 20 properties. One of them is mine. Okay. And so when I started going down this road with him, I started talking to him about it, and he was great. And he was like, yeah, we could totally do it. So he helped me find a house. We renovated it. And all in all, just to kind of be totally upfront and transparent with you guys, I put $180,000 down as a down payment. And I put in about another $180,000, $200,000 in renovations with furnishings and all of that stuff. So let's just say $400,000. Okay. So $400,000. Okay. So the one part of this is like, well, that's kind of hard to do. Like, are you going to do another one of them? Probably not. Right. And you say you spent that much money. Then on top of that, we were in renovation for 4 months. So that place isn't renting. You got a mortgage on that place, right? You're not making any money. You got taxes that are due. You got, utilities that are being paid. So every single month you're talking $4,500 that you're not getting back. That is the cost of doing this. Okay. So if you're doing that, oh my gosh, like that's a big, big nut to take in, right? Like, wow, that's huge. Okay. But we did it and I had the resources to do it. So I was like, we're going to do it. But man, I was nervous. But before we even got it done, we already had our first week booked. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Well, fast forward 2 years, we have netted on that property. Last year, I think we netted, after all expenses, mortgage, everything, we netted over $75,000 net. Okay. Now on a regular rental property, you never get that kind of return, right? You just can't. And this year we're going to probably do better. Okay. Because we had COVID and all of that stuff too, because we had more people renting, and it's premium. Okay. So right away I was like, well, I should probably do another lake house, but man, I got to pull all those resources, and houses are more expensive now. I mean, now that same house is going to be $300,000, $400,000 more. There's not really a lot of inventory. So then I just kind of shelved it. Okay. So I just said, I'm not going to do short-term rentals anymore. I'm just going to do the one I have and be happy with it for now. And when something else comes along, when I'm ready, I'll do it. So in the meantime, I'm still doing my, brand creator stuff. I still had a couple of sites. Actually, in that time period, I actually sold the business. That was a content-based business with physical products. So we ended up selling that business. And then once you sell a business, by the way, then you have some cash and you're like, well, I don't want to just let this sit in the bank and just, get 1% interest or whatever they're giving, probably less than that. And you want to get that money to work for yourself. So what do? So I'm like, well, maybe I just start investing in more content sites and building them out. And that's kind of what I've been doing. Okay. That's kind of what I've been doing. Now, when we first started our 2 niche properties as case studies, we didn't take like $20,000 and go, oh, we're just going to go ahead and spend $20,000. No, we started it from scratch with $100. And we basically started to slowly add content. So I know some people are listening and going, Scott, well, I don't want to take $20,000 and go spend on a site. We didn't spend $20,000, by the way. But we were able to, say, we're going to hire writers and stuff like that. But to me, that's an investment, because the way that I look at it is, okay, the Airbnb thing, the rental, the short-term rental is a great thing, but it takes a lot of money to get that thing rolling. Now I'm going to share with you some numbers that I'm looking at right now for me to go into the mountains. All right. And I'm looking at the Asheville area is where I'm looking to go. And I'll talk about that. But like, so right now, my goal is to get our niche properties, okay, our digital real estate assets, to get them to be producing $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 per month. Okay. So this way here, that's cash flow coming into the business. It's like a rental property. And then potentially I might sell one of those per year. Right. And so I'll have like 3 or 4 of them where they're built up enough to where I could sell it for $50 or $100,000. And then guess what? That $50 or $100,000 might maybe go back into more niche properties, or I may take some of that and put it into a short-term rental, right? So to me, it's diversification on both of these models. Okay. So the short-term rental, the risk that you run is like anything, is you're kind of doing the best research you can. And there's tools out there, just like there was Jungle Scout and these different types of research tools to see how Airbnbs are doing and all of that stuff. There's actually one out there called AirDNA, and I've been playing with that one. And it gives you some intel on the market. It shows you trends. It shows you what does that market do as far as how much is their average nightly rate and things like that. So I've been playing around with that, okay, to do the best research that I can, but there's no guarantees, right? You can buy that house and think you're going to rent it out for $400 a night, but you're not, right? You might have some months you only get 175, or you might get some months you get 450, but you don't know what the first year is going to yield. So you have to make sure that you're doing the best research that you can, and you want to make sure. And so for the rental is making it an experience. Okay. Not just being the ordinary thing. I'll talk about that here in a minute and what that looks like. But the pros of the short-term rental is you have a piece of property that the equity is going up. So I'll give you an example. Okay. And again, I just want to say this to be very, very clear with you guys. I am not here to brag or and say numbers to be like, oh, look at me. That's not at all what I'm doing. And to some people, my numbers are small. And I don't look at it as like, okay, what are the numbers? Is like, okay, what have I done? What have I achieved? I don't look at that. I look at like, okay, what am I doing to secure stability for my future, for my family, if something were to happen to me? That's kind of how I look at it. So the rental property, the short-term rental, okay. Now, let me just say this. If I was to take that property and rent it out as a long-term rental, like someone could just rent it out, it's on the lake and it's right on the lake. I mean, we're literally 50 feet, 75 feet to the lake, big wraparound deck, like beautiful, beautiful view, like really, really wide, long view. So if I was to rent that out, I might get $5,000 a month for that. That covers costs for that property, just to be upfront. $5,000 a month is going to cover cost, your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, your utilities, your lawn maintenance, getting all that stuff done. Even like pest control, you got to have that done. You're talking $5,000, okay, on a property like this. Now, you're going to break even. You got no emergency fund at this point, right? So if something breaks, you got to go into your own money, but it is paying the house down slowly, okay? And your equity is probably going to go up, so that's good. But in a short-term rental, you can get in the summertime $25,000 to $30,000 a month, which is crazy. Now, not all short-term rentals is going to get that, but this short-term rental is. Now, if you were looking at this as like, okay, maybe you got a $250,000 house and maybe your mortgage on that's, I don't know, all in $1,500, and then let's just call it $2,000. Well, you'd probably be able to charge maybe $2,000 if it was in a good location and maybe even had a lake view, right? And so with that same property, you might be able to net $10,000 a month because it's a short-term rental. You can get more per night, right? $200 a night for a month is going to be $6,000, right? Yeah, that's right. You get $300 a night, $9,000, right? So it adds up quickly. But if you just do the long-term rental, you're only going to be able to get, a couple grand, maybe $1,800, like whatever. Okay. So that's the pros of doing short-term rentals. Okay. The downside is if you don't have a management company to handle people booking, you think that you just put it up on Airbnb and then, people come and rent it. You still have to have people greet them. You have to have people, if there's a problem during the night, you want to make sure that they have everything that they need. Then you need cleaners to come in. You need them to coordinate. You have all of those things going on, right? So people look at it and go, oh, it's just great. You buy one and everything's great. Now, it is if you have a management company like I have in Lake Norman, okay, where they take care of everything, but I pay a premium for that. I think we're paying them 25 or 28% on booked rooms or booked nights. Okay. So they're making a good amount of money, but I don't touch it. And they're charging a mint, right? I mean, they're going even as far as like if someone lands on their website with our listing, they get retargeted on Facebook and they're handling that, right? So if you don't have that system in place, which I'm not going to really have that in this new location, right? At first. So I'm going to have to figure out, okay, who's going to do the management, who's going to do, the cleaning, who's going to do the, if something breaks in the middle of the night, right? I'm going to have to probably hire a hostess, right? So all these things have to be done. Those are things that have to be put in place, and you have to figure that out. Okay. So that's the downside of it, right? Is all of those things. The upside is you're paying your property down, you're paying, you're making money, net profit, and you get tax benefits, okay, on that. So that's the cool part of the short-term rental. I'll talk about the numbers, what I'm looking to do, how much I'm willing to invest in this new property, and what I'm going to do here in a second. But let me move into the niche property side of things now, okay? So with the niche properties is you're not going to, unless you buy a site that's already up and running, you're not going to basically in 6 months start bringing in $1,000 net per month. Okay. With if you have a short-term rental, you technically could bring in that kind of money, but you also got to put a whole bunch more money into the deal. Okay. And you got to get all that stuff working. But if you look at a niche property, we can start that niche property from scratch. Okay. And we can start building content. And within a year, if we really, really focus, we can get that to $800 to $1,000 a month. Okay. So that's like a piece of property that's going to yield you that without all of the risk, without shelling out $60,000, $80,000 for a down payment, or whatever you're going to spend, even $30,000. Right. But it's a little bit slower to get there. And you're not going to be able to get that to $5,000, right, in a year. Okay. Maybe if you got lucky, something hit, maybe you had a great affiliate offer or something like that, maybe, but typically not. Okay. So the upside of that is once you get that in place for your niche properties, then it's just rinse and repeat. Then it's like, okay, I'm going to do one here in bass fishing. I'm going to do this one over here in, I don't know, growing palm trees or whatever it is, right? Like whatever the niche is. So that's the cool thing, right? Is we can start these, and I don't recommend starting 5 of them at once. I would start 1 and get that thing rolling, get that learning the process, learning your process, getting your writers on board, getting your optimization dialed in and getting your systems in place. Then you can scale that up. But the pros of that is you have a piece of digital real estate. And even if you only got it to $1,000 per month, you're going to be able to sell that thing between $36,000 all the way up to $45,000, maybe even more. Okay. At just $1,000 per month. I was just looking at a site the other day and I shared it here on the last coffee talk and the podcast. It was Grumpy Mechanic. I think it was, right? Making $1,600 per month over the last 6 months. Okay. So it's only got a trailing 6 months. That's selling for $67,000. So if all you did was say, you know what, over the next year and a half, 2 years, I'm going to try to get this site to $1,500 to $2,000. And then at the end of that, I'm going to make money along the way, right? So once you start bringing in the $1,000, that's $1,000 a month. Okay. But you're going to work to get it to, $1,600 to $2,000 and sell that thing between $60,000 and $80,000. Okay. So that's a path to where you could, maybe you don't have money right now for a down payment for a short-term rental, but you'd love to get into the short-term rental business. This would be a stepping stone to get there. Okay. So you could access $50,000 if you get your site up to $1,200 or $1,400 per month net and then sold it. And then you'd have your down payment for a short-term rental. Okay. So that's another avenue that if you wanted to do that. Okay. Now, what are the cons to a niche property? Well, Google could do an update and you could get slapped and you can lose some of your traffic. That would be bad. Now, from what I have seen over the years, is usually when Google does an update, everyone does kind of float around a little bit, right? They lose a little bit, but then all of the ones that have done everything on the up and up usually come back even stronger. Okay. And so that's why I always say just do things on the up and up, do things correctly. Right. And what I mean by that is create good content, well written content that is good for the user. Okay. It benefits the user, and do not do any type of black hat link building. Okay. Do not go out there and buy links because you hear that if you get links to your site, a high authoritative site, that you're going to get, your traffic is going to shoot through the roof. It may temporarily, but when that Google thing comes up with an update, you're going to lose all your traffic. Okay. So that's why we don't do that. Okay. It's kind of like, people always want the shortcut, and then they take it and they pay for it. And then all of a sudden they really pay for it when they get caught. Okay. And that's kind of what Google does. They catch you. So I don't play with any of that stuff. I don't want to do any of that stuff. Okay. But that is the downside. That is the risk. Okay. The risk that I see with a niche property is really that, not that it won't work, because if you do the right amount of, research in the beginning, you've proven that there's traffic there. You prove that people are making money with ads, right? And affiliate offers and maybe digital products, right? If you've done all that, then it's just a matter of getting the traffic. And you can get the traffic if you do the right amount of work, right? Or the right kind of work. Okay. And your basics around SEO, search engine optimization. That's it. Okay. So if you do that, you put in the work and you put out enough content, you'll get the traffic. If you get the traffic, you'll bring in the revenue. Okay. But if you're trying to shortcut this thing, buy some links, might work for a little bit, then you're probably going to get slapped. Okay. But that's the risk that I see. Okay. I don't really look at it like, well, it's not going to work. It's just a matter of how long. It might take a little bit longer, but you just got to stay with it. Okay. A lot of people will quit after the 5th month, and that's because they don't see any traffic. Most of the time, it's at the 6-month, 7-month mark is when you start to see the hockey stick growth. Okay. And we've seen it. I actually did this on one of our office hours calls the other day in BCA. I pulled up 3 of our students' websites, and it's exactly that. You can see it's just kind of here, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just shoots right up, right? If I look back at my analytics, I'll see it. Boom, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, then it starts to just go right up. But it's consistency. Like, we're constantly putting out good content, and we're constantly looking for low-hanging fruit type keywords and things like that. Okay. So there's really no risk other than you might say, well, I risk my time. You might have. You might also risk the time if you do a short-term rental and money, right? You're going to invest in something that might not pan out, or maybe it might take a year before you get some good reviews. That's how Airbnb works too, by the way. It's very similar to Amazon. When you get reviews, that's why you want to get those reviews. People look at it and go, oh, I feel good about this one. I'm going to stay here, right? So, and everything that we learn here in business and online, everything that you guys have been learning here on the coffee talks, on podcast, here's what you can do with some of that information. You guys know I'm a big advocate of building an email list. If you have a short-term rental business and you're not collecting those customers' email addresses to follow up with them and to let them know to book their stay again, and maybe they're going to get a special rate because they're already been there, and you'll give them a special rate if they secure it within a certain time, you're going to have rebookings. And pretty soon, it might take a year, it might take 2 years, but you're going to then all of a sudden, you'll be able to fill up your own calendar on that property. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. If I'm somewhat co-managing this. Now, the other company that I'm working with, they do all that for me. I don't touch it. It's a really, really good situation, but I don't think that they exist everywhere. He's built a really, really solid company. Okay. So that is the pros and cons of both models. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I want you guys to, if you guys got any questions, let me give you guys a run through of what I'm dealing with right now. just so you guys can kind of hear what it looks like and kind of see what it looks like. So right now, I'm looking in the Asheville type area, right? Or that area, like Waynesville, Maggie Valley. There's some other areas there too. I can't think of them off the top of my head. There's like 5. Okay. And so what I've done is I've taken those areas, I've plugged them into this tool. It's called AirDNA. And you can just go to Airbnb and type in that too, and then sort and kind of go through people's listings, see how much they're booked and things like that. But I wanted to see the overall average over the last 12 months and stuff like that. So these areas all look really promising. But what I'm trying to look at is how much can I get per night? Okay. And a lot of the averages are like $200 a night. But I'm like, who or if people are paying $400 plus per month, what does that look like? Because here's the deal and here's the reality. Okay. I'm looking at, I'm going to spend, or I'm willing to spend, I should say, up to I think my max cap is $600,000 on a property. Okay. Now the other cool thing is, and again, I'm not a legal advisor. I'm not a loan officer. I'm not giving any advice here. This is what I've been told. Okay. If this is used as a vacation property for me and my family, and it's at least 50 miles from my home, then I can buy that as a vacation property. Okay. A second home. And if I buy it as a second home, I get to go after traditional lending, which also means that I could put down only 10% versus 20%. Okay. So $600,000. Okay. If you do the math, $600,000, 10%, $60,000, right? If my math is correct. If I had to do 20%, that's $120,000. Big difference. That extra $60,000 can go into furnishings, maybe a little bit of updating and get that thing ready. Okay. So that's what I'm looking at. Like, this is a place that, so my criteria was this: I want to find a home that I want to go to with my family and hang out. And we want mountain views. That's what I want. My wife likes a little bit of snow. We're originally from upstate New York. My kids love snow. Not a lot. I don't want to do a lot of like removal of snow, but I want to enjoy looking at it. Mountaintops, all that stuff. That's what we're looking for. Box 1, check. Second box is, could this thing pay for itself and make money? So my minimum on a short-term rental is it has to net me a minimum of $2,000 per month net. Okay. Net. Now I'm hoping for 4 to 5. I'm not going to probably get my lake house returns. Okay. Which I'm okay with that. So if we do the math, and I've done the math, if I look at the mortgage, okay, so this is kind of how I do the analysis. Okay. That if I go after a $600,000 home and I borrow $540,000, the mortgage on that is an all in. I kind of did all the math, all in with, you're not like taking care of the property for guests and stuff. I'm talking just paying for the property. It's going to be roughly around $3,000, maybe $3,200, something like that. Okay. So you do the math there. That's 36. Let's call it $38,000 a year. It's going to cost for that property. Okay. That's taxes. That's your utilities, all that stuff. $38,000 to maintain that property, to just basically keep that property and pay for it. Okay. So now we have to look at, okay, we can't assume that you're going to be able to book that thing every single night for a full year. It never happens. Okay. So you have to think about how much can you book it. That's where a tool like this comes into, where you can go, okay, let me look and see what the average is. Normally 60 to 70% is good. Okay. So I said, well, let's go 60%, right? So if I go 60%, and I did the math and I don't have it in front of me, but it was like, and if you charged only, I think it was $200 per, let me see if I can't pull this up, because I did have it here. Yeah, I do have it. Okay. Yeah. So, and I was right. For, I did the mortgage was $2,228. This is for $500,000 mortgage, by the way. This wasn't for a $600,000. $200 in taxes, $100 insurance, $300 utilities, $100 cable, and $300 for lawn, $3,228. So $3,228 times 12 was $38,736. Okay. Now, if we were able to get that thing booked, right? Like I said, if we were able to book that thing, I think it was like 60% of the time, we would be able to generate right around 80, what was that? $88,000 ish. Okay. So I took 88,000. Now what you have to do on that is it generated $88,000, the house, the property. It's usually going to be 20 to 25% on for your maintenance company or for your, your maids and stuff like that, right? And so what I did was 20%, so that'd be $18,000. On top of that, it's 56,736. We would net $31,264, which a month would be 2605. I would be happy with that. I would be happy with that. But here's the what if. But we just don't know. What if it doesn't book 60% of the time? What if it only books for 40% of the time? Well, the house would probably still be able to be paid for, but I wouldn't make any money. Would that be the end of the world? No. But if I'm looking to make money with this property right out of the gate, then it would be a problem. Okay. But I know the first year, you're just trying to get that thing kind of seasoned just like you would a niche property. It takes time. Okay. So if all I do is cover costs, did I gain anything? Yeah, I paid the mortgage down for a year and I might have gained a little bit of equity, but is that really a home run? Not really. But to some people would be like, well, it kind of is because, you paid for the place. I'm looking to make at least $2,000 per month on a short-term rental minimum. This here at that number would be 2605. Now, that's also at $400 per night. What if I can't get $400 a night? What if I can only get $300 a night? Okay. And so we have to look at this stuff. So what I did as part of my research is I went into Airbnb. I typed in how many rooms, how many people it will hold in that area. And then I put in there, my price range was from $300 to $700. And then I see what properties came up. Then from there, I look at how many reviews do they have? Are they booked right now? Are they booked in November? Are they booked in December? What does that look like? Okay. And so the other cool thing is with this tool that I've been playing around with, this AirDNA, it actually shows me top properties. Okay. And now it gives me what it did last year, but some people have said I would only trust that about 80% of the time. Okay. So if a property says that it did $135,000 in revenue, it might not really have done that because a customer or a homeowner could have blocked out times and they're treating that as it was booked. All right. So I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty there, but this is what I'm running through right now. Right. So if I borrowed $500,000, I would, probably put down $50,000, $60,000. So I would basically buy a house for $550,000, $560,000. That would be my mortgage, and all in would be $3,228, $38,736 for the year. So I need to book that place to pay $38,000, $736 for the year to cover cost. And then on top of that, if I do rent it out, then I need to pay the maintenance, right? And so if I did rent it out at the 60%, that's where I came up with the total all in would be $56,736 out of $88,000. That's if you book 220 nights a year, 60% occupancy, and $400 a night. So I'm sharing this with you just because I want to show you that, yeah, it looks good over there, right? It looks good that you can make money with short-term rentals. It's really, really attractive. But all of this stuff, it's risky. You don't know. There's no guarantees. We could be going off of last year's numbers, which we know that short-term rentals were way up because of COVID. So we have to look at that. There's risks. Okay. Now, do I think that if I got a house here, that I'd be able to rent it out enough to pay for itself? Probably. I probably would. Okay. I'm pretty sure on that. Would I make $2,000 a month? Maybe, maybe not. Would I be okay the first year if I didn't? Yes, I would. Okay. I would. And would that property probably gain value? Yes. So there is risk, but if I'm looking at this, like I got to put this in and I have to make money right away, I might be disappointed. I'd probably be disappointed. Okay. Because I can't say that it's going to be the first year, it's going to be 60% occupied. Just can't say it. All right. So those are the pros and cons. Same thing with the niche property. Can I say for sure, for certain, that after a year, you're going to be netting $1,000? No. Is there a good chance? Yeah, but there's no guarantees. Okay. And it just goes, again, there's no guarantees with anything that we do. There's no guarantees with a job, right? You could walk into work, they downsize and they get rid of you. Okay. There's just no guarantees. You have to figure out what is that you want to roll the dice with, right? What do you feel most confident about? Or what do your resources allow you to do? Okay. So for like right now, if you want to get in the short-term rental game, I think you probably should at some point, but there's going to be all this research that's got to go into it. There's going to be financial investment that's going to be needed. And if you can't do that at this point, hold off, build a niche property or two, build it up so that way there you can cash it in and then take that and put it down on a short-term rental a year and a half, 2 years from now, maybe. That's an option. Okay. So again, this was just a random Friday jam session that I wanted to share with you because it's something I'm going through right now. And I thought that you would probably find this helpful and useful, and to also show you that, everything that we do takes research, but we got to get out of the research phase. Like I'm in the research phase because I'm researching those areas and I feel really confident with those areas that if I find something within that price range. Now, here's the thing. If I go over that price range, if I go into $600,000 or $700,000, that takes my money up, right? That I have to bring in. So instead of it being $3,200, it might be $3,800. Well, now instead of $400 a night, I need to get $500 a night. That area might not yield $500 a night. Okay. So maybe I just need to be very, very strict on I can't go over that amount because I can't worry that I can't get the $500 a night. Okay. So that's why the research is really, really important. But I'm out of the research phase because I know that area will yield that. I've looked at it and I know what the numbers are now. I've done that part of the research. Now I'm ready to pull the trigger. Now it's just a matter of, is there a piece of inventory that's there that's $500,000 to $575,000? Is there something there? I'm looking right now, right? And I'm looking every day, and I have notifications come in. And I have, I have the resources to do it right. I'm ready to go, but there's nothing there yet. But I've done the research. I'm ready to pull the trigger. Right now on a niche property, if I've done the research, feel good about it, I'm just pulling the trigger. I'm going to buy the domain. I'm going to get the logo. I'm going to go ahead and get the site set up. I mean, heck, I did that with our most recent little case study that we're doing on an expired domain. Actually, we just got it delivered back to us after all of the work has been done. Looks great, by the way, and all of the content's on there. Over 100,000 pieces of, or 100,000 words have been posted. And so now we're going to sit and we're going to see what happens in the next month. And then we're going to start developing more content for it. Right. But that was a $9,000 investment there that I'm hoping over the next year we'll get to $1,000 per month. That's what we're hoping for. All right. So guys, let's go ahead and answer some questions. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you're not able to answer or ask questions. But if you want to ask a question, head on over to takeactioncrew.com. Jump on the email list there, and you can always send me an email, okay, through that, or you can just come here and show up, and we can answer any questions that you have. All right. But I'm going to go ahead and answer any questions that we have here in the queue because this is our Friday jam session. So let's see here. Okay, cool. So Justin says, that's awesome, Scott. We just bought a condo in Nashville this spring that is doing very well. It's a big risk, but a great calculated risk. Yes. Love it. Yeah. Tennessee. Actually, it's another area I was looking at actually. Does yours have any mountain views? I wonder, because Nashville is known for that as well. So that's awesome. Alejandro, are you still getting resumes from writers that want to write for your niche properties? If so, what service? Maybe I should ask this at BCA. Yeah, Alejandro, ask that in the private group, but I will answer this. We are, yes, we have enough. We have more than enough. We've already, like I said, we've received over 175 applicants, and I have actually more writers now than I can actually supply content for, or that I need content written. So we've narrowed it down to, I believe it's about 6 writers right now that are actively producing, and they're doing very, very well. Let's see here. Love your thoughts. Thank you. Um, Andy says, interesting, Scott. The parallels to niche properties is pretty cool. It really, truly is. It's exactly, to me, it's exactly the same, really. I mean, it's real estate. It really is. Oh, Justin says downtown. That's cool. Oh, looking at the Smoky Mountains next. Yeah. Yeah. That's another great location. The one thing I will say, and this is what I'm doing, is I'm very, very strict and focused on it needs to be a cabin feel and it needs to have amazing views, right? So amazing views, cabin, people walk into this place as I would, and I'd be like, wow. I'll be looking around like, this looks like it's out of like a TV show. Like this, I don't see this every day. Like I don't walk into my house and go, oh, I'm in a log cabin or I'm in a cabin. It doesn't even have to be a log cabin. It just has to be like rustic, but yet nice. Right. And then you go out in the back patio and you look out in the back deck and you see this crazy peaks of the mountains and you see the treetops and you see all that. You don't get that by looking out your back window, usually, unless you do. I don't know. But that's what you need to create for someone. And it needs to be in an area that people are going there as a destination. That's another thing. You need to go to a place that's a destination. Pigeon Forge is another one that's up and coming. I don't even say up and coming, but it's been there for a while. Just people are starting to really realize it right now. But 12 million people visit Pigeon Forge. And because of that, they need places to stay, right? Same thing. Asheville's up and coming. Waynesville, Maggie Valley is near those areas, like, 15, 20 minutes away. There's ski slopes there. There's hiking. There's casinos, like all of that stuff. You want to put yourself in a place where people are already going to, and then you niche it down a little bit further and say people that want to go there, that want to spend a little extra money and stay in a cabin and kind of get away and relax and kind of unplug. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Really, really important that you create that for the people. Let's see here. Oh, Ankit, is that how you pronounce your name? I don't know. I'm sorry. Scott, where do you look for such properties? Annie, a website where you can search on. Oh, Any. Yeah, I mean, so you need to first look at an area that you're thinking about. The one tool that I've been using is called AirDNA, and they've got a free version of it, which gives you some overview of the area. But then if you want to actually see properties that are doing well and trends and past trends and things like that, average night and all that stuff, you have to pay for it per area. So like if you want to go, like, so for example, if I wanted to go in Asheville and look at all of Asheville, there's like 2,200 listings there that are active. If I want to pull the data for all of them, it's going to run me about $40 just for that report. Then if I go to a smaller one, which I did, which was Waynesville, I believe it was, and that one has like maybe 500 listings, and I think it was $20. So you do have to pay per report, but they do give you some upfront data that's useful as well. Helene, yes. Happy Friday. Woo. What a great discussion. Thanks for covering all those numbers. What made you start thinking about STR, short-term rental, at this point? I remember before you saying the market was just too crazy as far as home prices. Are you seeing that the nightlies are that great to compensate for the drastic uptick in home prices? Any other factors that had you start to look back into STRs again at this time? Yeah, well, okay, so lake property right now, out of reach for me. I don't even want to go there. It's just, that is like, whoa, like you're talking for me to get another property ready for the inventory that my management company is using, it's going to be about $1.5 million, right? And I just don't want to go there. So I was looking at like, what other places could I go and give them a view, because it's really about a view, lake, mountains, and a getaway. And then so I started looking at properties, and I started looking at a place that I wanted to go, which was Asheville. I want to go in that area. And so that got me thinking about that. And I'm like, okay, what are the houses going? So I just started looking at properties. So even though they might have sold for $350,000 a year and a half, 2 years ago, and now they're 500,000, if the numbers make sense, I'll do it. Right. If the numbers make sense, I'll do it. So what got me thinking about it again was just, I want another rental. I want another short-term rental. And I want another place that I could take the family and I could have short-term rentals paying for it. And then also building equity for long-term, right? So like the lake house has been absolutely amazing. Oh, and I said I was going to share those numbers and I never really did. So that house, let's see here. I'm trying to go back. Purchased the house, I believe, for 865,000. If my memory serves me right, 865. That house also needed, like I said, about $200,000 in renovations. So we're up over $1 million at that point, right? And right now, if I was to sell that property, be about 1.5, 1.6. Okay. So my equity in that house, okay, would be over $500,000, let's call it, which is pretty crazy. So that doesn't normally happen. I was hoping like, okay, mortgage gets paid down. And then, from there, we're able to, you know, we're able to, maybe in a couple years, maybe refi, pull a little bit of money back out. But yeah, to have that kind of growth, like, no, like you just don't normally see that. To me, it's like, I think like 4 or 5% growth every year is about the average, which is good. House gets paid down, equity goes up. So you get that spread. So yeah, but that's kind of the reasoning behind it. So like to have a mountain, a mountain view, short-term rental it, you get cash coming in, you're paying down that property, tax benefits, of course. And then from there, who knows, maybe in 10 years, it doubles in price again. Who knows? Because that's an up and coming area. So you take the $500,000, you've paid it down to 250 maybe, and then it's worth maybe 750. So now you got 500. You see where I'm going with it. So that's kind of what I was looking at. Colorado mountains are also a good place. They are. I heard Colorado has a lot of restrictions though for short-term rentals. But I would definitely want to go Colorado. I love Colorado. Yeah, Justin says experience is everything. Um, okay. So once you find such data, what is people, or what if what people don't want to, or what if they don't want to sell? How do you find good properties for sale? That's the trick, right? You have to find the area and then just see what's available and see if it matches what you need, or at least that it could be, built into something without it costing you too much, right? So if you had something that had good bones, then maybe. But if it didn't have good bones, then it's just probably not going to work. But yeah, you want to make sure that you can find those properties, which isn't easy right now. Orlando has tons of year-round short-term rentals. Yeah, I don't know that I would. I think what you mean is that they're renting all year round, which is good. But yeah, a year round. So some people go, well, do you want people to rent your place for a month at a time? We've had that at the lake house, but they're still paying. They're still paying the nightly rate, right? So they might rent that thing, I don't know, let's call it in May, which is starting to become season at that point. They may rent the house out for $15,000. Okay. It's not really peak season yet. 15 grand, 5 grand for covering costs, maintenance, or the management company takes their chunk, still made a good chunk of money, right? But it is better to do nightly and then have minimums, like only, 2-night minimum, 3-night minimum. I think right now we're at a 3 or a 4-night minimum. I considered starting an STR, short-term rental management company. Yeah, I did too, for a day. And then I was like, man, that's a lot of work. I mean, they do a lot to do it right. There's a lot of work, a lot of coordination. But yeah, it is good. Even if you, there's a lot of opportunity for people that want to just be a super host, because they can take care of your properties as far as like creating that user experience. And then they can help you coordinate with a cleaner and things like that, and even a maintenance guy. So really, you just need those three things. You need a super host, you need a good maintenance person that you can get, fairly quickly if anything breaks. And then you need good cleaners. And that right there is everything. What my guy does, his company, is they handle all of that. I mean, they're really, really, really good. But you pay a premium for it. Let's see. Scott, do you host a mastermind group for real estate properties? How do I join? No, I don't. Maybe one day I might be getting into the short-term rental space, but who knows? That's not my idea right now, is to just keep doing the niche properties thing. Yes, it relates to short-term rentals as far as the parallels, but no, I'm not looking to start anything in that realm. But that's what I'm going to be doing in the future with the niche property stuff. So who knows? I'm not going to say never, but you never know. But I'm definitely intrigued by it, and I love the model. And I think it's growing. So, and I think Airbnb said too that they're short on inventory. Like they need more inventory. I forget what the number was, but it was pretty ridiculous. So, all right, guys, that is pretty much going to wrap up our Friday jam session. Hopefully you guys found this valuable. And guys, let me know in the comments, is this something that you would want me to talk more about? You want me to give you any updates on this stuff? Let me know in the comments if you do. And who knows, maybe I'll do once a month update on kind of what's happening with the short-term rental stuff. And I can give you guys a play-by-play on that. If you guys are listening to this and you want to start building your own niche property, then I would encourage you to head on over to buildnicheproperties.com. Again, that's buildnicheproperties.com. We have a full class there, a full training that shows you exactly what we're doing, what our students are doing, and really how to do it from the very, very beginning, like figuring out, like, is that niche, or even finding the niche. Where is a good niche? Where, what makes up a good niche, and then validating the niche. And then from there, building everything out. So if you're interested, head on over to buildnicheproperties.com. You can get all the details over there. All right, guys. So that's it. That's going to wrap it up. As always, take care, take action, have an awesome, amazing week, whenever you're listening to this. And I'll see you right back here in the next episode. Take care, guys.